odds. I swear.
Did you hit go?
I did.
Incredible.
People of YouTube, it's happened again. I hit go live and immediately the phone rang. I think we're being watched. Dave? Did you plan on bugging here?
It seems like
This is actually the third broadcast in a row when we went live and immediately Paul DeGeorge, my illustrious co-host, was doing his other job. But we got Dave. It was Midco.
Yeah.
Were they
just
apologizing?
checking to make sure we were all good.
They smooshed our internet today, but it's okay because it's back. Hello, YouTube. Dave and I are here at our studio in beautiful downtown Lawrence, Kansas. Dave is experiencing some extremely cute vibes. Let's get a little bit more of those on camera. Dave? It's a rainy day here in Lawrence, so Dave's extremely chill. It's a very big day for the moon in the universe. I'm excited about that. A lot of cool moon placements happening. So we're back with our second week on our new schedule of Wonder Fair Home Shopping, where we will be bringing you slightly more succinct updates, always with an eye on the fall elections and summer primary elections. We just went live on Instagram, I'm being told by our cameraman. Hello, Paul DeGeorge, and people of Instagram. If you're just catching up with us, I've been telling the folks on YouTube that we're back with our home shopping channel, partly as a way to connect with our local community and make sure everybody remembers the primary elections coming up and share information about those. And on Mondays, we like to devote our show to local updates. So let's do it. Paul, you gonna join me?
Yep.
I mean, otherwise it's just me and Dave as co-hosts, and look what a good job he's doing.
He is a good. Oh, okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to. I forgot about it.
Wow.
Okay.
Rude. It's okay. You can put your face on this.
There's cat fur all over there.
Well, small price to pay, everybody. Okay, so Paul, what local updates do you have? Do you want to adjust the screen slightly? I mean, we're getting a lot of Dave here.
Yeah, we can get a little less Dave.
Yeah,
there we go.
There we go.
That's good.
Oh, he also thinks it's rude. Look at this.
Well, for the folks on Instagram, if you want to tune in later and catch it on YouTube, you can get a much better shot of Dave here.
Oh boy.
In local news, Dave escaped a bee.
That's true. We are now bringing you updates from home on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm back to having an enforced weekend so that I can try to maintain my mental health in light of the many battles that we're fighting. And I think that's very important for everyone to do. Who's here? Knock, knock, knock. This is so exciting.
UPS.
What a true, this feels very Mr. Rogers neighborhood right now. All right, Paul will receive the UPS package. In local news, Dave dispassionately looked at a bee and didn't try to eat it, but I did save the bee, and it's back to pollinating the world. So good job for us and that bee. What else is going on in the world, Paul? We are in voting time now. If you didn't already know, and if you have not had your vote suppressed by the problems in our system of democracy, then it's imperative, I believe, that you vote. Even if you don't think the best person for the job is on the ticket yet, you got to vote in a slate of people who might make it possible for them to get there. So that means voting for the best candidates every time. And early voting has started in Kansas. It's so awesome we have early voting.
This is for the primary.
For the primary, but the primary is a big effing deal.
Big effing deal, particularly in Lawrence. As you know, if you've been tuning in, we've got a bunch of races, particularly in the county, that don't have Republican challengers. So the primary is going to decide who holds those offices.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been talking about those a lot. Early voting started last Wednesday.
There's so many great ways to early vote. They've actually, because our state is it's kind of in the middle of whether voting is accessible there are a lot of worse places to be, folks. But instead of closing polling stations here, Douglas County has opened up additional early voting stations.
We want more polling stations.
More polling stations is great. So now there's a polling station in West Lawrence. It's in like a weird
strip
mall, which I think is delightful. That's so America. And the other polling station is, of course, our beautiful courthouse, which has a really cool ceiling. So if you've never been and seen how beautiful the courthouse ceiling is, it's worth a trip, but also vote while you're there.
I think there's a third polling station too. Is that right?
I don't know that.
We'll have to fact check that
Okay.
one. But I love doing the early in-person voting.
I do too. That's my favorite because it's usually just you and whoever is working the counter.
You get to check in on the people who work at the courthouse, see how they're doing.
Yeah, they don't want you to do that. They just want you to vote and leave and be wearing a mask when you do it. But it's great because there's less of a line situation. During a pandemic, it's going to be safer. I myself am a person who reads a lot of news articles about voter suppression and the like. And so I know that many times when you mail in your ballot, if you haven't signed the back of the envelope, for example, or your signature doesn't match, if the person running elections in your county is maybe a vote suppressor, or for lots of reasons, sometimes those votes don't end up counted. It's still better than not doing anything. But you know what always works? Voting in person.
Hand-marked paper ballots.
Hand-marked paper ballots delivered right to your courthouse. There is no messing that up, people, and you have like weeks to do it in Kansas, which is a huge benefit and a wonderful right. And
yeah, what's today? We've got still 2 weeks left. 2 whole weeks before the election. So make your plan now.
Yep. Just tell your boss you're taking an extra hour at lunch to do your civic duty, and I believe you're required in Kansas to give your employees an extra break to vote. Technically, that's only on voting day, but I'd say try to make it happen any day. You feel like going to vote early because it's safer this year, and they want to keep you safe.
Kaylin chimes in on Instagram, thinks there's an early voting spot on Iowa behind Texas Roadhouse, and I think that's correct.
That's the West Lawrence.
That's the West Lawrence. No, okay, that's a strip mall in West Lawrence.
Yeah,
that's not quite West Lawrence. I mean,
it
gets way further west than
right.
Iowa.
I guess I kind of consider Iowa like the dividing line between.
Yeah, I guess it's on the west side of Iowa. But
anyway,
I think there's 3, but we'll fact check ourselves on that one.
Fun fact: there's a new way to vote in Lawrence this year, even expanding your opportunity to have accessible, safe ballot delivery, which are ballot drop boxes. So you can get your ballot by mail. You can request that still online, and then they will send a ballot to your house if you are totally self-sequestered. And then you, instead of sending it through the mail, you'll still need to make sure your envelope is properly signed, I believe, but then you can just physically drop it in the box. I just love living in Douglas County because as well as all of that, folks in Douglas County have made it easy to track how your ballot goes from your home to being counted. They are making it really easy to track your ballot through the USPS. So if you feel at all concerned making sure your ballot's safely on its way, you can actually track that now.
Yeah, they've got that mail tracking thing.
It's amazing. So there's a million ways to vote early and be
Not a million, like 4.
There's 4. But that would feel like a million if, for example, you lived in, I believe, Georgia has no early voting or anything but in-person day of. Is that right?
I don't know.
It's wild there. So, and those are kind of like people who make those decisions are the sort of boring down ballot offices that some people don't pay attention to, but they are so important. Secretary of State has to do a lot with that. Ours currently is not great, but somehow still
not the worst.
Not the worst.
Better than Chris Kobach, let's say that.
We did get a lot of expansions after Chris Kobach left office. So that was my voting overall news. Is that voting?
General voting.
I haven't yet voted because I still have a couple races I'm trying to figure out. Though we've been very happy to endorse the justice ticket for county commission and DA. Let's
elect the justice ticket.
And that's because we think coalitions are perhaps a better way to start organizing our government than what we've been doing, which is to elect single leaders and like pin all our hopes to them. And then it creates just like a lot of acrimony on the internet. People like pin their love and their hate to that one singular person. What if we start electing ideas and the idealists who support them, and we elect them in initiatives as cooperatives, and we say like, we're all working together on this. It's not all on that one politician, but rather we are a coalition. So
That's part of what we love so much about the Justice Ticket is
We do.
people who are already committed to working together.
teamwork.
Boom. Let's
I
get them
love
in.
it.
Let's get them in.
Let's get him in there.
I do know that Justice Ticket in particular is looking for folks to help with phone banking. And here's some inside info I heard. I heard that if you make phone banking calls on behalf of Cooper Overstreet, for example, 4 out of 5 people who get called are like, yeah, I'm going to vote for that guy. This sounds amazing.
Cool.
So people really believe in Cooper Overstreet's campaign, and it's just a matter of contacting them and getting the word out. I mean, we've been focusing on these races for a few months now, but for some other folks in Lawrence, it's just popping up on their radar. So if you want to help get the word out to the rest of Lawrence, you could definitely volunteer with the Justice Ticket to do some phone banking.
Mhm.
That is really needed because we need to contact like thousands of people in Lawrence.
It's true, because a lot of people won't show up if they don't get asked. And I do just want to say, though, like, I appreciate that Cooper Overstreet is independently a very compelling candidate. But once again, for me, this is no longer about electing single candidates. This is about creating systemic change. Racism, anti-Blackness, all of the ways that classism and ableism have made our society increasingly unequal are no longer tenable. And if we, we don't feel like we can keep running a business, for example, in a world that is like this. So we just really need people that's paid money to do his job, which is to advocate for people in court. Maybe some folks think that's a bad personal choice he made to like do his job for money. We aren't here to argue about the independent individual merits of that, even though we think that's a pretty garbage argument against him. But in our community, that's what we're voting for. And when people reduce someone to their individual qualities versus looking at what they are saying they'll bring to the job, I feel like that's just old time junky politics I don't want to deal with anymore. I don't want it to be about the job they did individually. I want to know what job they're going to do for our community. And if their community includes people who've been left behind previously. Did I get on a soapbox just then?
A little bit. It was a
I
little bit of a
did.
subtweet for another thing that's been going on, but we won't get into it. Rachel on Instagram lets us know that phone banking for Coop Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30. But check in with all the campaigns because I don't know if there's like a Justice Ticket phone banking session as well. I know they were out canvassing this weekend.
Right.
So
it's going to be a little harder for, county commission's a big deal. District attorney's a big deal. All the races are a big deal. The more we can approach these huge systemic problems, they're structural, so they can't, like, having one person in there dismantling injustice is like not going to get the job done in our lifetimes.
we need a whole team.
Got to get a whole team out there. It's got to be like, what was that show with that guy named Ty, who I think ended up being kind of problematic, and they like rebuilt someone's whole home in 2 weeks, so it probably immediately fell apart again. What was that
I
show
don't
called?
know what that show is.
Big Extreme Home Makeover?
You got me. It could be. There's definitely a show named that.
So this analogy works because what we don't want is to just rush in there with the most handsome, dopey host and just be like, meanwhile, there's this huge crew that does all the actual work, but they have to do it so fast that it's not very structural when they're done. We're going to take this slow approach, everybody together, building our team.
Rachel kindly fact checked
The
you
analogy
on
really
that.
got goofed up.
Rachel did fact check you on that Extreme Home Makeover.
Oh.
So you were right.
Great.
I think. Is that what you said?
I no longer had cable by the time that show was on because I'm rather old, but I do remember hearing a lot of. We just had different things to worry about back then.
Yeah. Well, so on the local politics here, I got a real inside scoop for you. We're going.
You got a scoop. Let me get my cones.
We're going even further down ballot. We're going
Load
way
them up.
down ballot
Load them up. Triple dip.
into committee precinct chair positions.
Paul, what's a committee precinct chair?
Well, I'm gonna read precinct committee person,
Okay.
representative of the Democratic Party in their neighborhood. Elections are won and lost in precincts, and precinct committee persons are vital to ensuring strong democratic support for party candidates and issues. They're elected 2-year terms, and any registered Democrat is eligible. So we've got a lot of friends who have gotten into this game here, some wonder friends getting into the precinct committee chairperson. PCP, precinct committee person, not chairperson. I don't know if they have chairs or not.
They probably don't have chairs. They're probably hitting the bricks on the sidewalk.
PCP. So we've got a lot of folks we know, a lot of wonder friends getting involved. And they've started a write-in campaign. So I think this is for open seats, potentially, places where there's not a candidate on a ballot. So this is definitely a chance to write in somebody and get
I don't think you've yet explained what this office was, so I will do it.
Okay.
This is an office that can be open. No one has to fill the role. It's basically sort of like a group leader for your immediate geographic area, like within 5 to 10 blocks. It's the person who goes around and says, like, hey, did you remember it's almost time to vote? And also like, hi, by the way, these are the Democrats on the ticket. Do you have questions about it? I am here. These roles probably came about before the internet, so they needed a place to send like campaign materials for smaller precincts that maybe weren't being served by like bigger offices, for example, back before people could more easily campaign directly to go around and share the info. But these roles still exist, and people stopped applying for them. But you know what? Accessibility is a huge issue, and a lot of people, they might technically have access to this election information, but it might be hard for them to access it. Like, and talk to a precinct committee person who will show up in your neighborhood and make sure people know about stuff on the ballot. Do you think I did it right?
That was good.
I could have been wrong. I only read a few things about it. So because no one is, I don't know if it's because of deadlines or because this is such a, like, this is like the most minute office there is in our electoral system. But these people aren't physically on the ballot with their name. You got to write their name in with the pencil on the ballot. Totally awesome. Actually, I think it's pen.
Yeah, so we'll tell you how to do that. What you want to do is you need to find out who is running in your precinct.
Which means you first need to know
what your precinct is. So here's the best way to learn about this. And this is where I got my info about it. If you're on Instagram, go to write us in LFK, all one word, no underscores, no periods. Write us in LFK on Instagram, and you'll find out both what a precinct committee person is, as well as what precincts we have some write-in candidates running for. So yeah, that's a great way to, Meredith is making a little sign here. Look at how goofy.
It's going to be backward. I learned that the one time and I forgot.
No, it's not going to be backwards.
It is. Look.
I think it's just for us. It's backwards.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
No, it's totally backwards.
No, it's just for us.
Really?
These words aren't backwards.
You're right about that.
It's fine. Just hold it up.
Okay.
There it is. Write us in LFK. And I don't know what's up with our Instagram feed here. This is very weird. It's got a weird angle. It's kind of looks fine over there, but anyway, all sorts of technical difficulties today. Our internet was out. That was why the Midco guy was calling.
Okay, so Radisson LFK is an opportunity to just make sure there's somebody out there who in your neighborhood is giving info to the person who might not be endlessly scrolling and doom scrolling the internet and who forgot about the primary election.
Here's the thing. If you like Wonder Fair Home Shopping Network coverage of local politics, that's because it's like super hyper local. And that's what the precinct committee people are all about, is keeping politics hyper local. So find out who's running in your neighborhood, talk to them, and let's make it, let's bring the noise, huh?
Yep.
Dave wants to come back.
Hi, Dave. Do you think we've covered that? Is that enough local election news?
Yes. Did you have any other updates you wanted to share?
I don't think so off the top of my head for local news. Am I wrong about that? I'm really thinking. I mean, sorry, I got really distracted because Dave's using my hand as a pillow.
Yeah, it's pretty great
It's
here.
really sweet. I guess I would just reiterate that we think it's really an important election, and just like these precinct committee people are just folks like you and us. They're going through the quarantine, the pandemic together. Many of them are fighting really hard to further racial justice right now and to support all of those protesters, which I think is great. These are not the kind of career politicians or folks who maybe like don't work for a living who are able to enjoy politics more frequently. They're just folks who care a lot, and I think they should be shouted out. Thanks to Aaron Brown and Kate Lorenz, our friends who brought this to our attention first. Two great activists in our community.
And who are running. You can write them in if you're in their
precinct committee people.
Okay, one other local affecting thing I'd like to point out today.
Do you think we could register Dave as a Democrat?
I don't think so. That's definitely voter fraud, right?
Yeah. You're right.
Dave cares though.
I rescind my suggestion.
So we've got a lot of really wonderful music venues here in town, and first to close, last to open is what it's going to be for every music venue in the country, but particularly here, in part because we have really responsible venue owners. So there's a national movement to kind of essentially create some sort of financial support for these music venues. And if you're interested in learning more, you can go to saveourstages.com. I just want to, I've made my living as a musician for a number of years, and it's true. This is like the kind of community infrastructure that musicians rely on, so many other jobs rely on, and it's going to be a very long time before we're going to see another show at the Granada or Liberty Hall. And whatever we can do to push Congress to extend some kind of relief package to these venues, I think is really important, because this is a key part of our arts infrastructure here in Lawrence, a major part. And there's almost no end in sight right now for a lot of those people.
This is odd.
It's Nikita.
Oh.
My treats.
Nikita's bringing treats.
Nikita brought treats. Oh my gosh, I wonder if it's pretzel cake.
It is pretzel cake, and it is in the shape of bison, but it has gotten a little worse for wear in the process of transportation. But they're shaped like little bison.
Wow.
Here for you.
You got to show that off.
I'm going to show it off.
Can you show that off?
I will. I'm going to sneak over there while Dave and Nikita have a quick moment. Nikita, thank you so much. Hermagerd. Okay, folks.
Bye, Nikita.
Wow, they held up pretty good, Nikita. All things considered.
Their faces are a little.
They look like they're running across the Great Plains. Folks, this is pretzel cake shaped like tiny bisons. This one's kind of cool because he actually, since some of his jello slid off, he kind of looks like he's just extra fluffy up top, which is very bison chic.
You might need to explain what pretzel cake is.
Friends, pretzel cake is a Midwestern delicacy that Nikita. So the base of pretzel cake is crushed up pretzels with butter as a crust. Then it's a layer of cream cheese whipped topping that's slightly sturdy, and just tastes like eating a sugary cloud that's just about to rain. And then on top is a layer of strawberry jello. And sometimes you'll also see people put real strawberries in it, but if you want to taste the cloud rainbow, you should probably leave the strawberries out because texturally that gets even wilder. But it's a taste sensation. It's a texture sensation. It's slick and jelly. It's soft and smooth. It's crunchy and salty. It's sweet. It's, I think, my new favorite cake. Do we call this a cake? It's really not.
It's called pretzel cake, but it doesn't seem like a cake.
I feel like we should be calling it pretzel dessert in the way sometimes we can't really categorize an art supply or stationery as it's just like so far, it's such a pure combination of all the kinds of categories. This is every category of dessert in one.
I love that dessert category.
It's just a dessert.
Just a
It's generalized
It's
dessert.
sweet and mushy.
Yes, similar to how a toad is a frog, but all frogs are not toads. This pretzel cake is a dessert, but it's not really a cake. It's in there somewhere. Anyway, talk about local news.
Pretzel salad in the Kirkland household is what that's called.
Pretzel salad. That is a wild choice.
No, not at all, because a lot of those Jell-O concoctions are called salads, right? A lot of those like weird Jell-O things from the 60s got called salads. So I think that makes more sense than cake.
I don't know. Jell-O salad. I guess you're right. When I think of Jell-O salad, I think of like cubes mixed up in a salad-like formation, while this is stratified layers, which feels like a sheet cake
Mm-hmm.
or like a bar or like a pretzel.
Yeah, I mean, what do they call those? Like
I
7-layer bars.
I personally
Or am I thinking
vote
of
for
dip?
it being called like a pretzel Jell-O dessert.
Yeah.
Although that doesn't really have a fun ring to it. It's not
Right.
snappy. Anyway, I can't share this with any of y'all because I want to have it all by myself, and you probably want some.
Pretzel salad. I'm gonna stick with that one. I like that.
Fire enough. Wow, I'm so excited.
Sounds healthy too.
What a special day.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered lots of local election news.
We learned what pretzel cake, pretzel
We
salad
talked
is.
about pretzel cake.
We learned what a precinct committee person does.
I feel like we learned a lot today.
We learned a lot, and
Should
now
I go get
it's
the print that says that?
yeah,
I'll go
we'll
do that.
showcase one product. We'll showcase one
almost like we're
product
at Home
before we head out for the day. We're open this week, weekdays noon to 6, Saturdays 10 to 6. That's for drop-in shopping. And we'll be back tomorrow sometime. Shop in our store. You can shop by phone. That's how it all works now. And we'll close on this lovely print from Hiller Goodspeed.
I am
Canadian.
learning so much today, says this person. I feel like this every day of the last, I don't know, 7 weeks or so, where folks have really started organizing on Instagram. I feel like you gotta, at some point, turn what you're learning into actions. But I just think about this constantly when I'm scrolling. I'm like, I'm learning a lot.
And that print by Hiller Goodspeed screen print could be yours for just $20. Remind yourself every day of how much you're learning.
And also, reminder that you need to take it off of Instagram and put it into your real life.
Wow. Way to bring it home.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow. That's our edition of Wonder Fair Home Shopping. Yeah, write us in LFK if you want to learn more.
Help us make a bunch of locally owned downtown businesses that are trying to destroy capitalism, confusingly, a really cool voter block.
Cool voter block.
I think that would be, if more communities did that, it might show us that there's a way to do this, everybody. And it's together. The way is together. The end. Okay. Should we eat this pretzel cake now? I think I'm going to have it now. Goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us. Goodbye.